And now we start again. It is now the 13th of June. We've got the bucket truck in. Just made it underneath the power line. And we're going to start working on the cedars at the back. You can see the damage all up in here where the tops have broken off. So that's what we're going to be taking the cedars down to about that level and getting rid of all that broken stuff. We're not taking the cedars out. That one birch there that was over toward the well, the old well, he said had to come out because it was cracked and one side was completely dead and cracked at the top. So I can see that there. It was a pretty tall tree, so it's fallen into the lake there, but they'll just pull that out with the ditch witch. What he's doing now is he's taking the limbs of the end off some of that big long one that goes up this way. That'll take some of the weight off, less stress on the limb. There goes my brush piles I was making. That's good. Now I don't have to get rid of them. Look at the white iris there. Those are water iris. They only come up in the water, and you can actually flood them out and they'll still come up, but they haven't come up in a number of years, so it's the first time I've seen them. They are beautiful water iris. Little on the shore. So we're going to take out a fence post here of steel and these cedars right there. Then he'll have access to come in. And we're going to try to get that off the roof with the bucket truck. We're going to get that limb off the roof. This is the end result. The tree guys are all done. What was actually done is up in the top here, where it had been trimmed once before all the way along, the new growth in the ice storm we had at the end of March had all broken, and they were all kind of down like this and snapped off, hanging, and it was dangerous. So I had them come in and cut all the dead stuff and the hanging stuff out. You can kind of see where they had been. You can see the sticks there where they had been hanging before, all the way down that way and across the top to the end. You can kind of see there where they've taken stuff out, but had to be done. Here you can see where they've taken the dead stuff out of the cedars and cut it back away so that it's away from the overhanging the power line there. So that's all good. You can see where the cedars were all taken out there on the west lot line, and these were cedars that were standing in the yard, but they were very tall, and they would bend in the wind or snow. I didn't like them too close to the house, so I had them taken out. You can see how it's really opened up the view to the lake, both from outside here on the west yard and from the living room window. This is a shot across the front of the house. The oak tree there in the middle, it had limbs that were coming down almost to my living room windows, which you see there on the right, and they were brushing against the front of the house. So he got the bucket out and went over the house and trimmed them back. And then there was a great big limb that would come out this way, which was right in front of our window. So we had that taken off too. Happy with that. It'll still mean I'll have to clean the eaves, even though I put a gutter guard on this year. But at least I can get up and not have to struggle with getting stuff out from the bottom of the eaves. I'll just be able to blow them off or knock them off easily. So gonna have to do it because they're pretty full now after all the debris coming down from the oak tree. Now this is a shot along my lot line. It shows you how much room that the cedars were taking up. The cedars used to come right out to this area here, and I took them all down here because they were all damaged by the ice storm. They had all fallen down toward the lake, but that's a lot of property reclaimed. Can't do too much with it yet, but I'll get there. Well, that's where the old cottage used to be, down on the flat by the lake. And I had a bunch of brush piles built here from the ice storm damage that I had picked up and cut up myself, waiting to take to the dump. Well, they just mulched it all up for me. Then these two birch here, they climbed and got dead stuff out of the top or broken stuff out of the top. They said they're still in pretty good shape, but there were hangers up there. So they did climbing and went up both trees and got the stuff out of the trees. And then over here there was a third birch. You can see the stump here I'm walking up to. It was pretty much dead on one side from a break, and it was also split. So they took it right down and mulched it up. He took the ditch witch into my old brush pile here and took out a lot of the big branches which I had in here over the years. Looks like he's taken a lot of the old mulch too, right down to the earth. I bet that's good earth in there because it was all leaves. I just dumped my leaves in here for many years. So that's been cleaned up pretty good. That's nice. I wasn't expecting that. That's a bonus. And they also came over here and grabbed some birch that had fallen down in the ice storm too. So that's all been cleaned up fairly good. So Very good, very happy. Here's a shot of the house. You can see that there's no branches that are touching the house anymore from the oak tree. And it does come out a long way to the east, but if it comes down on the east over here, like if that great big long branch breaks, it's not going to hurt too much because it'll come down onto the yard. This is my next project. I can do this. Is to widen this path to the garage a little bit more. A lot of stuff on the left there has come down from being broken. Same on the right. About 2 or 3 cuts of small cedars, and this will be opened up again. That's something I can do this summer. Here's the garage. No damage to the roof from the limb that was on it. So that's all good to go. In order to get the truck in, he widened the entrance area a little bit there on the right. Took out a T-bar post and a couple of small trees. It had to be done, and guess what? I like it because it gives me more space to move my truck in and out too. I hadn't noticed that they had moved my bird feeder down so it wouldn't get hit by the falling branches. But these are, I'll move it back to where it should be later. These are my wife's poppies growing behind my office. I just saw a chippy in there. I told him he better not eat the poppies this year. These are the poppies and the peonies behind the dining room. And that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed.